everyone? Welcome to Building Our Power. This is Gabby.
And Katie.
And we're back with another episode. Make sure to hit us up at Building Our PWR. Hit KT up at KT_does_art. Hit me up at Gabby's Music. Remember, guys, if you would like to support what we are doing, we're actually about to go to Kroger right now after this to fill up the fridge. You can do so. Link is in the description. We got some flyers. We haven't made any new ones yet, but we are still posting out, the communist ones we had, the gentrification ones we had. And if you'd like to contribute to that, again, link in the description. All right, guys, we are going to first do a recap a little bit on our episode last week about why liberals love unions, because Joe Biden apparently is all gung-ho for this ALU. And then we're going to talk about inflation, and then we're going to talk about organizing people online. Okay, so everybody's happy, everybody's excited. Joe Biden is excited. He is so pumped up for the ALU. So
why are you talking like that?
He was speaking to thousands of labor leaders in Washington on Wednesday, and he asserted that, quote, unions are about, in my view, dignity and respect for people who bust their neck, quote unquote, noting that White House Task Force for Workers' Organization and Empowerment was established to make sure the choice to join a union belongs to workers and workers alone. And by the way, Amazon, here we come. Adding to stirring applause from the audience at the North Americans Building Trade Unions Legislative Conference. Watch, he said. And so Jen Psaki said that he believes firmly that every worker in the state must have a free and fair choice to join a union and the right to bargain collectively with their employer. The Amazon workers in Staten Island made their choice to organize a grassroots union and bargain for better jobs and a better life, she added. Okay, so pro-union. A pro-union leader, Marty Walsh, is the leader of the Department of Labor. And so that's what's going on. Apparently Joe Biden is all gung-ho, he's for the workers. And apparently we should just take that at face value. It doesn't diminish maybe the value that unions have now, that all these capitalists are just so gung-ho and they love it 1,000%, that all these people are making millions of dollars on these union boards. That doesn't matter. This is a win. Okay, so something we were talking about that we're going to tie into all of this is that, again, when we talked about Great Depression, all that labor stuff, labor, we love the workers, yada, 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 that was needed to encourage people to go to work, encourage people to work harder, to boost morale. Okay, right now we are in similar situations. Inflation has gone up. They're trying to decrease unemployment.
Right.
So what they will say is, we're all pro-labor union. Everybody get a union. Not detailing the fact that they're going to be fighting you tooth and nail, these corporations. And then once you get the union, they don't say what they support you fighting for. They just said, well, we support them wanting a better life. But if you was to get a union and you was to demand everybody, the minimum pay is $30 an hour, it would be crickets. I promise you. It would be crickets. These people, they just say that they support workers because you saying you support a union doesn't really mean anything. We know that.
I'm going to kind of go back to what you were talking about with Amazon. I think it's interesting that Joe Biden is saying that because in 2020, they contributed a total of $2,335,672. And then in lobbying power, they ranked number 8 in 2020 of $17,860,000.
Amazon is a top contributor.
Contributor to the DNC. So my thing is, and you're absolutely correct, is that if they want people to go back to work, since we've just had we quote unquote have ended the pandemic, they want people to go back to work. So of course Joe Biden is definitely going to be pro-union, because not only does that look better for him, but that also is going to push Amazon to have more workers come into their labor force so that they can pay people at a lower wage.
Yeah. And here's the thing about this. Like we talked about with Kellogg's a couple months back.
Yes.
Like everybody was pro that. But what did the people end up getting?
Nothing.
None of the stuff that they even wanted to get. So Joe Biden can be funded by Amazon left and right. It don't matter. He can say whatever he need to say out in public, but behind closed doors, he know, hey, if these people start asking for too much, I'm going to help you out. But he knows these people do not have enough power to negotiate this corporation to pay them not only $18. They may get the $18, but the paid time off and the sick leave and the this and the that. No.
Yeah, just like, again, you guys can go back. We'll make sure to link it. Yeah. But the Kellogg's episode, we followed them because they were here in Memphis doing it. We followed them from the beginning when they started it all the way to the end of whenever the Kellogg strike ended. And literally, they fought tooth and nail. They were outside in the rain. They were outside in the storms. And what did they end with? They literally ended with nothing that they wanted. Not a single thing. And guess what? Everybody just went back to buying Kellogg's. Everybody just went back and completely forgot about what was going on. It's like it just erased our brains.
Yep. That's the point.
That's the point. And so they're going to do the same thing. Like Gabby and I, we figured out now that we can kind of predict how certain things are going. So they're going to do the same thing. It's going to be like, okay, this is a wonderful thing. We're getting a union. And we've got Joe Biden over here getting pumped up for the unions. And all the liberals are going to go crazy. Even the Republicans maybe even go crazy for this. And so now it's kind of like, I just feel like, what do we say to that? What do we say to these people that are like, look at Joe Biden doing this? Because, liberals and even a lot of leftists are pro-union, are pro-setting this up. What do we say to them?
Well, here's the thing about it. It's not prediction. We're not predicting anything. It's dialectical materialism. It's materialism. And so that has to be taught. That has to be taught for people. And you just show them. You just give them the history. Just be like, this has happened before. Let me show you. This happened. Then bam, bam, bam. Then now we're here, and nothing has changed. The same playbook, the same script, the same promises, and nothing happened. And you just show people that, because you can't fight with facts. And the simple fact that Joe Biden hasn't promised to do anything progressive, hasn't promised to do anything ridiculous. To believe that this man is finna be the champion for the workers is just, you really just want something to believe in. And if that's the case, I can give you something to believe in. We can give you Barney, we can give you Teletubbies, we can give you anything, but just don't believe in Joe Biden, because they're just literally trying to get us to work. And that's what we want to talk about as far as inflation. Katie has done a lot of research on inflation, guys, and she's going to talk a little bit about inflation, and we're going to just talk about how it's all made up.
Okay, so inflation is basically just rising prices, okay? And inflation is really interesting because basically, long story short, no matter what happens in this world, the corporations can decide at any given point that they want to raise prices. Whether that be that, the workers want more money, and then they're going to take that workers wanting more money and give the cost to the customers. So the prices of food, prices of supplies, prices of materials, whatever goes up. Or even if, the corporation just one day wake up and is like, you know what, actually, let's just go ahead and raise these prices. If they want to do that, they can. Or they can also raise prices even if there's like small amount of something. So for instance, I know a lot of you guys, it was some kind of chip that goes into the computers, and so basically that chip of the computer, there wasn't a lot of them during the pandemic, and so the price of that went all the way up. It was so hard to find them at a regular price, and that was because these corporations had a very small amount of these chips, and they just basically said, you know what, we're just going to raise the price because we don't have that many. So, long story short, that's what inflation is. Corporations decide they want to raise money, and the government says, okay, that's cool.
The interesting thing about supply and demand. The way economists talk about it, the way we're taught about it, you would think it's like gravity.
Yeah.
Supply, demand. It's literally the way of the world. Like in nature, there's supply and then there's demand. But here's the thing about it. Okay, on a lower level, like with KT, you and your business. Okay, if you're trying to make money to pay your bills and to maybe get a car or something like that, it would make sense that if you had a situation where you had an influx of orders and you can only do so much, you would raise your prices so that you could make more profit off of your labor and maybe cipher out some of the customers so that you won't have so many people asking for you to do stuff or whatever. So that would make sense because, okay, you need money to pay bills. Like, you need money for that.
And that's an individual level, right? Because I don't pay anyone else to do literally anything else.
Everything by yourself. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's you. Walmart, Amazon, billions of dollars in profit. If the demand gets too high, there's nothing in their blood, there's nothing in their genome, there's nothing in their DNA that says that the rates have to go up. That's all greed. That is all greed, and it's not even necessary. No matter what, they will go make a profit. No matter what, they gonna get their bonuses. No matter what, these people finna live scot-free. But they have to. They say they must. If the demand is high, they must increase the prices. They do not have to.
I know. This is what I was trying to explain to Gabby in the logic behind it that they give, which is not correct. But the logic behind it they give is that, okay, let's just bring in like something simple like potatoes. You've got 5 potatoes and you've got 10 people who want those 5 potatoes. Well, only 5 people are going to get those 5 potatoes, right? So in order for you to make up the cost for the other 5 that want them, you're going to charge the 5 people who actually get them double the price of 1 potato. And so it's like, because they previously had, in their brain, they're like, okay, well, I normally have this many customers, but I'm not going to have that many customers. I am going to increase the price so that I can still get the same amount of money. But the fact of the matter is, like Gabby said, at the end of the day, they're still going to get that money, not even just through those potatoes. They may get it somewhere else. It's just complete greed.
Not even that. They don't need it. That's what I'm saying.
That's the thing. They don't
it's
need
not like,
it.
It's not like you're working for yourself. You need money. Like, I have to eat, yada, 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 yada. Okay, I would understand in that situation. But we're talking about corporations that are literally running this country. That's what I'm talking about.
Multi-billion dollars.
That are making inflation so that we can't afford houses, can't afford food, none of this stuff. There is no reason for them to raise prices. There is they have so much money in reserve. Jeff Bezos got so much money, he can't spend it in 5 million lifetimes. But he has to increase the prices because of supply and demand.
It don't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense. So the whole point of this is it's fake.
It's fake.
It's made up. It's not real. And the thing about it is, they'll say, here's the thing. They'll say, oh, we can't give y'all no more stimuluses because that will cause inflation. Okay. But here's the thing. Increase inflation, decrease unemployment. So wouldn't that be good for y'all to increase the inflation in this case? Or we can't increase your wages because that would cause inflation. Okay, so what you're really telling us is there will never be a time, there will never be a time in this American capitalist system where everybody can have enough money to pay all their bills,
Absolutely.
to have house, to have car, to be able to provide for their children, to live comfortably because the economy would collapse.
That is absolutely correct.
So why are we still playing this game?
Because okay, so here's another thing that plays into it. You said something that was interesting about, okay, so why are we even playing into the fact that we know for a fact that this isn't going to work? Because it is working. This is how capitalism is supposed to work. This is how supply and demand is supposed to work. They have created it this way so that there are always, no matter what, going to be a lower class of people that can be exploited.
Yeah.
It is supposed to work this way.
Yeah.
We cannot change it. It cannot be adjusted. It cannot be fixed. It cannot be created some different way. No, it has to be erased, burned down, blown up, and created again. That's something better.
Because check this out. Big banks, these corporation CEOs, they get bailouts and billions of dollars. That doesn't cause inflation because it's just a few holding on to a lot.
For some reason.
Okay, but if we were to disperse it to everybody, make it equitable, then the economy would collapse. Which, okay, cool. There's no value in the dollar. But what I'm trying to get y'all to see is that's never going to happen. We will never be in a society under capitalism where everybody has enough food to eat, everybody has a nice place to stay, everybody has clothes, everybody has a good quality of life.
We would never. Like all these people out here, there was one time Gabby was talking about their music, Gabby's music, and they wanted to be a millionaire. Even myself thinking, I want to be a millionaire as KT does art, you know? But we have to sit here and we have to realize, okay, if we're millionaires, like who are we exploiting? Because even as millionaires, you cannot physically be rich. You cannot physically have funds. You cannot physically be anything without exploiting. And that means, are you a manager? Are you a senior type person in a position at your work? If so, you are part of the exploiting people.
There's literally no way for me. Like, I produce, I write, I sing all of my stuff by myself. There is no way for me to produce enough music, shoot all my music videos by myself.
Correct.
Go and book all of my tours, do my own audio engineering at my live shows, play all the instruments, and make $1 million. That is just not possible. And so that's what we have to get people to think. Because I saw some folks on Facebook talking about they're going to be the ethical millionaire. How in the world are you going to be an ethical millionaire? Are you literally working by yourself? Not contracted to anybody else. You're doing it by yourself? Okay, ethical. Cool. Great. But if you have to employ anybody to do something for you, then it's automatically, it's an imbalance. It's a hierarchy.
Even if we think about, like, and this is something very simple, but, like, as an individual doing certain things, I am paying for, like, subscriptions to, like, Squarespace, for instance. And how do I know, as someone who uses Squarespace as like a website thing, like how do I know that the people that are helping me and troubleshooting certain issues that I have aren't being exploited?
Yeah.
You know, like we're still part of the exploiting class once we move into that role as like a quote unquote small business or whatever you want to call it. Even though we are literally, like, you may be making no money, you may be poor as hell, you are still at some point or another being a part of that exploiting class.
Yeah. So ultimately what we're saying is there's no ethical millionaire.
There's no ethical capitalism.
Yeah, there's no ethical capitalism at all. Like you can't, like even the best, most kind of ethical way is always some gray areas for it to be messed up. Unless literally KT is going over there and getting her own sheep and shearing her own sheep and making her own wool
yarn,
and then making her own yarn and literally doing every single process by herself. There's exploitation somewhere up in there. And so,
I mean, the textile business in and of itself is huge in exploitation, and anybody can look that up. Textiles, fabrics, things like that is exploitation out the hoo-ha. So, yeah. You just can't be ethical and capitalist. That's what people have to understand, whether that be with inflation, whether that be with jobs, whether that be with literally anything. It's not freaking possible.
Right. So, let's go back to this inflation thing because something that was real interesting in this video we were talking about. They were talking about how, inflation is good because it teaches you how to save money. Because if inflation is high and the interest rates are high, you're more likely going to save money in your pocket. And apparently that's a virtue. But the thing about it is the government don't want you to save money for too long because then you ain't gonna want to go to work. So really what the government is doing around this time is they're pulling us as strings.
Yeah.
They're saying, oh yeah, we're gonna give you a little bit of money. Oh, we're taking it right back because we just we can't have all the profit that we want to have. So you gonna work for less. Or well, maybe today you can get a $1 raise, but then the cereal finna be up 50 cents, so you done lost it.
We literally got those what do you call them? Like the checks that we got last year.
Oh yeah, the stimulus checks.
We got stimulus checks only for inflation to go up almost to 10%.
Yeah.
Where it's basically useless. Like we literally just gave them their money back at this point.
We literally did. And so that's the main goal. It's like that.
It's a push and pull.
It's a push and pull, and it's not. Inflation. It's controlled.
Yeah,
it is controlled. And something else I wanted to talk about is why these corporations, they'll act like they don't like inflation. They benefit from inflation. I was looking up, when you get time, go to the inflation calculator and type up some numbers. Especially talk to your parents or your grandparents and ask them, how much were you getting paid at this in this year, and how much was your mortgage? Because when you look at these numbers and you compare them to what we getting paid right now, ridiculousness.
Tell them the story about your dad.
So my father, my mom, and they were talking about a story about how they had to pay the rent, the mortgage, and times were hard, all this stuff, and so my mom was talking about in 2008, my dad was just making $14. No, actually, no. I lied. He was making $16 an hour, right? He was making $16 an hour, and they had to pay for private school and all these other things, and stuff was hard. And I was like, oh, wow, that's kind of bad. I mean, he making more than what I made now, but I wonder what the inflation would look like now in 2022.
Right.
That was $21.08, equivalent in 2008.
So he was making a good amount of money in 2008.
He was making some pretty good money.
Yeah.
But check this out. In 2022, he is making $2 more than that. So he's actually lost money. He's actually gotten even exploited even more. They've actually taken money out of his check if you factor in inflation.
Yep.
So that's what I'm saying. Think about this. When is the last time, if you've been working for a significant period of time, 10 years or more, when's the last time you had a raise? If you haven't had a raise in the last 2 or 3 years, you're losing money. And the corporations are putting it right up in their pockets.
Yep. It's going right into their pockets. Y'all have to realize, it's not like that money is disappearing. It's not going to some random account. It's not going to whatever. It's going directly to your bosses, your boss's bosses, your boss's boss's bosses. It's going into their bonuses. It's going into, this person did really good this year, and I've been their boss since then. So, I'm going to get that extra check.
Yep.
They are literally benefiting from your labor.
So I put the numbers in for how much my dad would be making in 2008 if he was getting paid at the same rate, and he would be making $17.45. That's a $1 raise in the course of how many years is that? 12 years?
Yeah, that's insane. That is insane. $1 raise, and your dad's in management now.
He is, and he just got that raise.
Yeah.
So imagine that. So it probably was a couple cents.
Yeah.
So yeah, these corporations, they love it. That's what I'm saying. The only time I'd say these folks was really hurt was during that housing crisis in our lifetime. And all this other stuff is only affecting us. These people play off of these things, but they're always on the winning side. It's like the casino. The house always wins. The corporation are always in charge. They always know what's going on beforehand, and they're going to make sure they are. It's us that's there to pick up the pieces. So really what we want to talk about is just don't fall for this okie doke of people saying, oh, we can't get this amount of money because it's inflation. Oh, we can't pay you this much because it would cause inflation. It's BS. There's no such thing as inflation. All this stuff is fake. You can get your word. If you want to organize your little job and get more than what you getting paid now, don't be scared to ask for that stuff. Forget inflation. If them folks gonna raise the charges, they gonna do it anyway. So yeah, that's just something we wanted to talk about, because it's been all over the news and people getting scared and people blaming each other for the inflation. It's like, y'all, this is planned, and this is not something that we can control anyway.
If y'all want to look up like an example of what's currently happening, look up the 1970 oil crisis. That's definitely one that would give you an exact example of what is currently happening, down to the fact that war was happening during that time. Yeah. Like, just look it up and research it and read over it, because it's a playbook. They're using a playbook.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's it on that part. Also, I want to encourage everybody to, don't be afraid to talk to people about, the good news. Don't be like the Christian folks and just harass people. But, if you have opportunities, don't be afraid to share, and you never know who'll listen. Like I said, on Instagram, I've been on the local Memphis job sites. And when I see people over there talking about, the job market is hard and we don't get paid nothing, I'm like, I wonder why that is. Maybe it's because, these government officials have been getting kickbacks from Amazon and FedEx all these years. They don't have a reason to pay us more, and you start from there. And before you know it, I get all these folks agreeing and we having discussions. Now, they do delete my posts every time I say something like that, but it does get people thinking. So just always look for opportunities, if people are already talking about it, just to spark something in their brain. And if they want to know more, then you can refer them to literature, refer them to people or whatever, and keep it going, because it's times are tough. Like I said, everybody's feeling it, and this is the right time, to try to give people solutions to what's going on.
I think it's interesting too that it's deleted every time, because
yeah.
It's funny, but also at the same time, it's like, y'all know what you're doing. Like, you literally know what you're doing.
I'm sure it's some corporation that's running this site, or some like hiring service, and so when I'm talking about this stuff, it's deterring people from wanting to work, and that's a problem.
You're literally. I think it also too that getting people to agree with communism or anarchism without you actually saying communism and anarchism is interesting. I think it's cool. It's cool. You can get people to agree with those values and those understandings without bringing in maybe more complex terms or just terms that they're not so much familiar with.
Yeah, that's something I say practice, guys. Just try to figure out, it's trial and error. Maybe talk to people that, your family and friends or whatever, and try to learn how to break down some of these things and just talk like a regular person. You know what I'm saying?
You don't have to have your classical music in the background and going, ooh,
and it's a skill too. Knowing how to explain things well is a skill, so it takes time. But once you get into the groove, it's easy. And then you're going to have folks like, oh, yeah, for sure. And then you'll be like, oh, well, I got some literature on it. If you would like to read more, you start them out with some, kind of easy or whatever. And then eventually, like, hey, this is actually communism, and, you should try it out.
Now you're a communist. Right. Now you're an anarchist.
So, yeah, guys. So, just encouraging y'all to do that. And, we about, like I said, we finna pick up these groceries from Kroger. If you would like to contribute to the community fridge we're doing, like I said, we were planning on doing a summer bash soon. If you would like to contribute to that, you can do that. Link is in the description.
Thank you to the people that have been consistently providing funds. Again, little amounts of money do actually help. Think about what $1 can buy as far as groceries go. It can buy some noodles. It can buy, things.
Thank you, Nathaniel. I think it's your name. You've been real consistent with donations. So thank you so much. I don't know who you are, but
shout out to him.
Shout out to you. It's helping the peoples. Like KT said, it doesn't matter. We ain't asking for dollar amounts or nothing like that. Whatever you can give. And is that it? Alright, guys, you can hit us up at Building Our PWR. Hit KT up at KT_does_art. Hit me up at Gab Beats Music. This has been Gabby.
And Katie.
And we're out.